starting with probably my favorite mod of 2024 so far, which is called the Control Company. This allows you to control any monsters that is available in the current map. For example, on this map I can control the Giant and Bamboo Hawk. And yes, you can kill other players as well. Now this mod actually gives you 3 main controls. The first one is the usual player mode. While in player mode, you can press F1 to change into the next mode called Ghost mode. Or you can press O or P to switch targets, aka another player, to determine where your next spawn enemies will be at. Now if you change into Ghost mode, this is where you'll be able to roam around the map without being seen, just like you are invisible. Your body will stay still however, so do take precaution on that. You can always go back to your body again by pressing escape. Now while you're in Ghost mode, you can select any monsters you want to spawn as long as it makes sense on the map. For example, I can play as the Nutcracker only inside the facility, and the Forest Giant can only be played outside. While you're a monster, you can actually use their skills as well if they have any. For example, as a Jester, you can wind up to transform yourself. These are currently the monsters that you can transform into as of right now. However, the creator is focusing on expanding this mod into an even bigger project. Now if you don't want to wait for other monsters, you can always press 0 to enter extended mode, which gives you an opportunity to play experimental monsters. Now as if this mod isn't crazy enough, this is a host only mod. Yep, you heard that right. Nobody else in the server needs to install this mod for it to work, which creates massive surprises for everyone else if you do wishes. For example, I transformed myself into a baboon hawk and everybody was very confused on why this baboon hawk is actually in the ship. Now do note that this mod only works if you are the host, so you need to create your own lobby for this one to work. But overall, definitely deserves a spot in my top 3 mods of all time. Now while the Control Company mod was amazing, the rest of the mods on this list is as well, such as the Symbiosis mod. As the description says, this mod enhances the dynamics of Lethal Company by increasing interactions and dynamics among monsters, items and players. A few examples are hoarding bats are now able to use items such as horns and shovels at random times. Another feature is that it also spawned flies over dead bodies after approximately a minute after death. Just a really cool detail to add to the game's environment. There are more features, but I'll leave it for you to find out for yourself. I would highly advise to pay close attention to this mod as the creator aims to add more features into it. This is a client-sided mod, so it only works for those who installed it. Now we'll get into the quality of life mods, which most of you enjoyed in my previous videos. Starting with the Terminal Extras mod. This is a very simple client-sided mod that adds 4 new commands to the terminal. Type in door if you want the door of the ship to open or close. Type in teleport to activate all teleporters in the ship. Type in lights to toggle the lights on and off in the ship, and type in launch to automatically pull the ship's lever to either land or take off from a moon. Super simple mod, but I know that this will help those who are enthusiastic about having more control as someone who loves playing as a ship's operator. Next up is one of my favorite mods as well, which is the Item Drop Cycler. Again, a very simple client-sided mod that gets the job done. This allows you to automatically switch to another item whenever you drop what you are currently holding. This will fix the issue of dropping an item and immediately becoming empty-handed, which can be pretty annoying at times. I would highly suggest for you to get this mod. Next up, the Jetpack Warning mod. Now some of you may or may not like this mod, but for those of you who do, it has a visual and audio indicator to indicate how hot the jetpack is before it actually explodes. This is a client-sided mod, so it only works for those who installed it. Now remember, if you want to keep the surprise, maybe you don't want to get this mod, but if you want to make things easier for you and you want to enhance the UI of the jetpack, go ahead and try this one out. This is the Facility Meltdown mod, and it changes the entire gameplay when you take the apparatus out. If you decided to take the core battery out of the facility, you only have 2 minutes to escape and take off from the planet before you get completely vaporized. A lot of effort has been put into this mod, as things like custom warnings, red flashing lights, and new voice lines can be played to add into the atmosphere. Take a look.
Core overheating. Nuclear meltdown imminent. All reactor core safeguards are now non-functional. Please prepare for reactor core meltdown.
Now remember, you only have 2 minutes to get out before you get blown into smithereens, plus the ship is made to automatically leave after the explosion. So yeah, really happy to see this mod, as this is how the apparatus should function in my opinion. Try this mod out with your lobby and friends, as this mod needs to be installed by everyone else for it to work. Next up, a very cool quality of life change called Better Spray Paint. Now who doesn't love the new spray paint that was introduced in the latest patch? Well, it is now improvised and made better than ever. A few features will be unlocked after installing this mod, such as spray paint will never run out, which can be toggled in the config file if you don't want this. You'll get increased range as well, and also the ability to erase any spray paint by holding the use key, which is E by default, and left clicking. It also adds in sweet things like tweaking the sound effect to make it more bearable, and several changes and bug fixes to make the spray paint work more consistently, look better, and feel better to use. Now all players must have the same version of the mod installed, or the spray paint will not sync properly among each players. Up next, this is one of the best mods to use if you are into cinematic shots. This is the LC Cinematic FreeCam, and thanks to Vice for recommending this to me. By pressing the button C on the keyboard, you enter a free roam state where you can fly anywhere you want without the HUD. Do note that this is completely separate from your main body, so your main body will be staying at where it was left off. Now aside from that, this actually makes it awesome if you are trying to get that screenshot or view that you are looking for. It can be used while outdoors and even indoors if you want to. A very great mod that isn't for everybody but gets the job done for some. Now speaking of mods that isn't for everybody, do you watch Jujutsu Kaisen? Because if so, this is the Malevolent Shrine in Lethal Company. Just a small treat for those JJK fans. It can be selected from the terminal and you'll be able to see a really cool shot from Season 2 on the terminal, plus a freakish looking Sukuna on the monitor while orbiting. Upon landing, you'll be able to walk around the shrine in this new map and enjoy the beauty of the environment. FYI, there's nothing much to do here except for exploring around, so yeah, a really cool homage for JJK fans, just thought I'll throw it out here. Next up, I guess it's time to showcase this mod as many of you has been asking for it. This is the minimap mod. It shows you every single detail you can know outside and within the facility, from monsters' location, map layout, scrap locations, and turrets, mine, and doors. Now yes, this is extremely game breaking to use, so please only use this if you really need to, kinda like me when I'm testing out things and also other mods, because this will ruin the core experience of Lethal Company for you. But if you really want to use it for a normal game, which I would again highly recommend not to, you can always disable important indicators like monster locations, scraps, and many more. This menu can be brought out by pressing F1, and you can also toggle the minimap on and off with the F2 key. This is a client-sided mod, so it only works for you if you installed it. Now on the opposite side of the minimap mod, wanna make Lethal Company more immersive? Try out the No HUD mod. After installing this mod, pressing F6 or typing hide HUD will hide the UI on the screen, which includes your chat as well. This will allow a more immersive experience if you don't want any hand-holding, a must-have for hardcore enthusiasts. Again, this is a client-side mod, so it will only work for those who installed it. This is the Insanity Meter mod in Lethal Company, and it shows you how insane you currently are. Now, not everyone knows this, but the moment you land on the moon, every employee actually has an insanity meter. You just can't see it as it is invisible by default. The longer you stay in the facility or the ship, the insanity meter will rise up. Players who are alone will gain insanity faster in certain locations, whereas sticking together with other players or listening to them on the radio will reduce insanity. The Ghost Girl actually uses this value to choose who she wants to haunt, so if you have a higher insanity than everyone else, you are more likely to be chosen. Now this mod may not sound all impressive, and you don't even have to use this mod, as maybe seeing your insanity value might ruin the fun, right? Well, I actually wanted to show you this first to explain the insanity mechanics, because it actually leads to the next mod, which I believe that you should get right now. This is the Insanity Remastered mod for Lethal Company, and it adds new features to the insanity mechanics, which I have explained earlier. Now this is a big one, so get ready. Normally, going insane will only increase the chance of the Ghost Girl to haunt you. Well, this mod adds so much more, such as hallucinations. With this mod, you will now experience 3 levels of insanity: low, medium, and high. As your insanity level gets higher, you will experience more intense hallucinations. Hallucinations that you will experience are, for example, sound hallucinations. Besides the usual sounds that we usually hear, this mod tosses in some new ones to mess with your head, and some of them are very creepy. Another hallucination is the lights shutting off for you and you only. The lights will power back on eventually on their own, but you can always step outside to force them to turn on back themselves. Now you may even experience player hallucinations. When you're within the facility, there's a chance that you might bump into a hallucination of another player. Here you can actually see another player on my screen, but I swear I am actually alone in this server. You may find them to be walking around without a purpose, giving you a creepy stare, or even trying to chase you down. Now, fake items are also a hallucination that you may encounter. In the facility, you might come across some weird piece of scrap that just doesn't feel right, and there's a legit reason for that. But if you decide to pick it up, brace yourself for a few effects to hit you. Now, what if you're at the highest level of insanity? You will experience a panic attack. During a panic attack, almost all hallucinations become lethal, and you experience one of the following symptoms: slowness, whispering from unknown sources, reduced stamina, reduced vision, and the worst of all, death. You may step outside of the facility to calm down for a bit or reduce your panic attack further. Now this mod also adds in new ways to lose sanity and also new ones to gain sanity, so prepare to have an experience of a lifetime. More things are planned out with this mod, so do keep up to date on the mod's website. This mod is client-sided only, so it only works for you if you installed it. Now let's get all of the creepiness out of the way and look for something fuzzy and cute. This is the Needy Cats mod, and it's perfect to set the tone of Lethal Company down a bit. With this mod, you can find cats roaming around the facility, and they even meow at you when you are nearby. Be careful though, as they make a lot of noise, so you may pick them up and left click to pet them to calm them down. Make sure to pet them regularly, otherwise it may attract unwanted attention. Bringing them back to the ship will consider it as a scrap as well, so it is all worthwhile to find them. There are tons of cats for you to discover, so go ahead to find them and bring them back to your ship and enjoy your new companion. This mod requires everybody on the server to install it for it to work. Now previously I've showcased the minimap mod and many of you love it, but it is understandable that it can be extremely OP at times. Well, try out the motion tracker mod if you want a less intrusive experience but the same function. This can be purchased from the terminal, and it only shows you where the enemies are on the radar with a limited battery life. Now the battery life is extremely short, around 60 seconds of total use time, so make sure to use this sparingly. If you feel the price is too cheap, you can always change the price of the motion tracker in the config file. This mod is perfect if you want to have NH in the game for a price without breaking the immersiveness this game has to offer. This mod requires everybody in the server to have it for it to work. This is the Mask Enemy Overhaul mod. Love the new mask enemy in the game? Well, this mod takes it to a new level. So what it does is that it removes the mask from them, makes them wear a suit of a random player in your team, and yes, even modded suits, and it also allows them to spawn on all moons by default without needing the mask item. This makes it so that it is really unpredictable and fun to fight against or run against, as you never really know whether it is truly your teammate or not before it's too late. Now here comes the best part about this mod. This mod actually has a zombie apocalypse mode, which can be enabled in the config file. This makes it that so only masked enemies will spawn in the moon and no other monsters, which makes it incredibly chaotic, just like you're playing Left 4 Dead. You can actually enable the zombie apocalypse mode in the config file to be a permanent thing, or make it a set chance, like let's say 5% for any moon to actually have a zombie apocalypse event. Overall, extremely fun mod to mess around with. This mod requires everybody on the server to install it for it to work. Next up, this is an experience unlike any other. This is the Backrooms mod in Lethal Company, and it is as scary and mind-blowing as it looks. Whenever you receive damage, you get a random chance to be teleported into the Backrooms. The Backrooms mod features endless and eerie spaces waiting for you to uncover the mysteries from beyond. Your goal while being in the Backrooms is to find the exit before it is too late, while at the same time trying to avoid the smilers. I won't spoil too much of what will happen in the Backrooms, but just so you know, it is a hell of an experience. Now you can actually configure the mod to set the percentage chance of you being transported to the Backrooms. Additionally, you also be able to set how many smilers spawn in the Backrooms itself. Very fun mod that you must try out with your friends, as this requires everybody to install it for it to work. Now, have you ever thought to have more interiors in Lethal Company? Well, this is the More Interiors mod, which features just that. Installing this mod will have chance for the new Bunkers interiors to spawn in either offense or March, but this can be tweaked in the config to have it spawn on other moons as well. So far, it only features one new interior, but more will be coming in later updates. Currently, this new bunker map has dynamic fire exits, scrap spawning, and also enemy spawning, which is usually not present in other interior mods. Additionally, this mod should work with custom moons as well, which makes it amazing to install. Everyone needs to get this mod for it to work, so go ahead and try this new fresh interior out if you are bored of the usual facility and the Manors layout. Next up, this is a highly flexible and useful mod to have for you to do anything you want. Introducing the chat commands mod in Lethal Company. Think of it like a trainer where you can spawn enemies, give yourself unlimited money, spawn any scraps you want, and many more, just from typing into the chat box. Now this can actually be used even when you are not the host. However, do not worry, as other players will not be able to use it on your lobby if you have disabled that function in the config file. This mod is amazing at testing out new features only, so I would highly recommend not to use this mod for a legit scrap run. So go ahead and get it if you want to test things out. Next up, this is one of the best quality of life mods to have. This is the quota rollover mod. Normally, when you complete a run by selling your items to the company, the quota will be reset down to 0, even if you have any extras left. With this mod, however, extra quotas will now be brought forward to the next run, so it is worth it to sell everything and not worry about whether you're overselling or not. This mod is extremely popular right now, and I can see why. Only the host of the lobby is required to install this mod for it to work, so go ahead and enjoy it to your heart's content. This is the Don't Touch Me mod, and yes, probably a good idea to do so. This is actually a new entity that is added into the game, and you have a certain chance for it to appear in your scrap run. Now this thing is a pretty mysterious entity. Unlike any other monsters in the game, it has a random chances of doing different things if you press the button, so you can't really be certain of what it will do. Well, unless you're unlucky and it decided to kill you instead. However, as hinted in the website, you can abuse this entity and clear the whole facility from monsters. You have more than enough time to survive if you coordinate with your friends. I really don't want to spoil it any further, as it is such a charm to play with it the first few times. Oh, and additionally, it has a 50% chance to disguise itself as a scrap to fool you into pressing it, so you might want to be careful if you see this warning. Here's a quick live showcase of what it can do. If this seems really fun for you, go ahead and download this mod, as this mod requires everybody on the server to install it for it to work. Next up, an extremely creepy mod. This is the Coil Head Stare mod in Lethal Company. Now normally, the coil heads don't really do much aside from attacking you from behind. Well, this mod allows the coil head to ever so slightly turn its head towards its target. Very creepy. Now this is also a great mod to use if you want to know who the coil head is actually targeting. This is a client-sided mod, so anyone who installed it will see the coil head stare at the closest player. Now if the head turn is too slow, you can always adjust it in the config file to make it go faster if needed. Truly a 10 out of 10 horrifying experience. And speaking of horrifying, this one probably takes the cake. This is the Rolling Giant mod in Lethal Company. Ever seen this creepy fella surfing around the internet? Well, it is now rolling around the facility to catch you off guard. This is one of the monsters that is pretty unique, and it has multiple types of AI behaviors that will be random each time you land on a moon. These are the following behaviors it can harness based on the mod's website. Number 1. Coil head. This makes them act just like a coil head, where it moves when you're not looking around. Number 2. Move when looking. This makes them move to you if you are looking at it, the opposite of coil head. Number 3. Randomly move while looking. This makes them randomly move while the player is looking at it. Number 4. Looking too long keeps aggro. If the player looks at it for too long, it doesn't stop chasing them. Number 5. Follow one's aggro. Once the player is noticed, the Rolling Giant will follow the player constantly. Number 6. One scene aggro after timer. Once the player sees the rolling giant, it will aggro after a timer. Or number 7. Awe, which will select all of the AI behavior types. So as you can see, it has multiple AI behaviors, which makes it very fun and very flexible. This is also extremely versatile mod, which can be tweaked in the config file if you want the rolling giant to play a certain way that you want. Now this mod requires everybody in the lobby to install it for it to work. Now maybe the mods I've shown is a little bit too scary. Well, this is the Fair AI mod, and it is a mod that gives the player a fairer chance in Lethal Company. Let's face it, most of the time when a monster has been locked onto you, you are probably dead in a matter of minutes. Well, this mod gives the player a fighting chance by allowing landmines to now kill monsters as well when they stepped on them. Additionally, turrets will also kill and target enemies too. You can also go to the config files to tweak which enemies can set off mines and other things if you so wish to. This is the client-sided mod, so it only works for you if you installed it. This is the Throw Everything mod. This is a pretty versatile mod as it allows you to throw almost any items which could deal small damage to the enemies, distract enemies, trigger landmines, and even more. It is also awesome to pass an item to your team at longer distances. Now do note that not everything can be thrown, but this is an extremely fun mod, so anything is reliable now. You can actually hold the throw button to throw it further as indicated in the percentage right here. Now this is a server-sided mod and it requires everybody on the server to install it for it to work. Now next up, a pretty cool one. This is the Scarlet Devil Mansion mod. This adds the Scarlet Devil Mansion from Toho as a possible dungeon to the snow maps such as Dine, Titan, and Ran. This is required to install by everybody to work, and it is also supported by custom moons as well. There are plenty of cool areas like the Mayor's Studying Room, hallway corridors, and typical mansion rooms like bedrooms, libraries, and kitchens. Now this mod is pretty wild as stated on the website. This dungeon uses modified dungeon generation code to create 3 long paths as opposed to the base game's single path, then creates branching paths like normal. Furthermore, the dungeon will always be confined to a relatively small box. Please understand that this will increase the dungeon's generation time and may cause bugs as well. Now while this seems cool, there's also a new enemy introduced here, but I'll keep the spoilers away for you to discover yourself. And additionally, monsters respawn through this thing right here instead of vents. So go ahead and grab this mod because it is such a blast to explore this new map. Next up, this is the Player Bracken mod. It simply replaces the Bracken's design to those of a player. This is an amazing mod that it is meant to be paired with the Skinwalker mod, which allows enemies to copy you or your friend's voice. If you want to, you can head to the config file to enable the option to assign a random name of the lobby to be placed on it to make it more realistic. A very creepy mod, and it is one you should definitely try out with the Skinwalker mod. This mod is client-sided, so it only works for you after installing it. Now I've never showcased a mod pack before, but this one really takes the cake. This is the Explorations mod pack in Lethal Company, and it is a hell of an experience. This includes a ton of new moons for you to explore. Just take a look at the moons available on the mod's website. So if you or your friends are looking for a single mod that gives you most of the awesome moons you need, this is definitely the one to go for. This is the Lethal Config mod, and you need to get this right now if you are using mods in Lethal Company. Usually we can only tweak and edit any of the mods config in either the Thunderstorm Manager or manually. Well, this mod makes it 10 times easier by enabling you to do it in the main menu. You can also do it in-game as well. All of your mods that has a configurable settings will appear right here, and you can change how your mod works without any hassle, such as changing the shotgun price from the buyable shotgun mod and more. Now do know that some mods require you to restart the game for it to take effect. Nothing much else to say about this mod except that it is a must-have to get, and since you are watching this video right now, you're probably playing modded Lethal Company anyway, so get this one right now. Next up, this is another one that is pretty unique. It is the Lethal Stats mod, and it actually records most of your data after you finish your run and upload it to a website called lethal.splitstats.io. After installing this mod, finish a scrap run and this message will pop up stating that your run has been recorded. Then head to the website mentioned and search for your Steam ID, and voila! You can see your personal stats of the game from the longest round duration, most scraps collected in one round, to the total number of times fired. If you don't know how to find your Steam ID, it shows you exactly how right here. Now FYI, all of the stats that you had before installing this mod will not be available, as it is only able to show the stats after this mod has been activated. This is a client-sided mod, so it only works for you if you installed it. Next up, this is the Better Item Scan mod. Personally, I believe this is the best value scan type mod in the game so far. When scanning items in the ship, it shows you exactly what are scanned and how much it is in total. No more guessing on how much your scraps are worth in total now. Again, a pretty simple mod but a very welcoming one. This is a client-sided mod, so it only works for you after installing it. The next mod on the list is great for those who are looking to get some good shots in the game. This is the recording camera mod. I previously showcased the LCC cinematic mod in my previous video, but this one actually has an important feature in which you are able to toggle between moving the camera or your character. This is very important if you want to create skits, videos, or even just looking around. It is way more advanced to use, so it takes some time getting used to the controls, as you can find them on the mod's website here. But if you can get the hang of it, I have no doubt that this is the best mod for you to have in terms of content creation. This is a client-sided mod as well. Now, speaking of camera shots, this one is probably not for everyone. Introducing the third-person camera mod. This mod allows you to walk around the world of Lethal Company with a view from behind your character. Now, I don't recommend using this mod to play the game, as first of all, it is pretty clunky in terms of interacting with other objects, and number 2, it is just not fun if you aim to fully experience the game. However, I would recommend it if you are looking to test things out, take some nice video footages, or just want to free roam around freely without a care in the world. This is a client-sided mod, so it only works for you after installing it. Now, this next one is a very simple mod but highly underrated. This is the hide chat mod, and it does exactly what it says. It automatically hides the chat box after a few seconds if no one is sending a message. Pretty simple and useful mod, especially if you want less cluttering on your screen. Again, this is a client-sided mod. Now, if you play with more than 4 people in Lethal Company, you probably want to get the More Monsters mod for balancing purposes. This allows you to customize how many of each monster spawns and how frequently a monster will spawn, giving you more control and decision on which monsters you actually want to fight against. You can always press the insert key on your keyboard to open up the menu to tweak this mod, but if you downloaded the Lethal Config mod from earlier, you can just do it from there, as this is my personal preferences. Now, this mod only requires the host to install it for it to work, as only the host is able to change the settings of the lobby with this mod. Now, up next, these aren't really mods that changes the game entirely, but fixes some of the annoying parts of the game, such as the door fix mod, which fixes the hitbox of doors so items can be picked up through open doors more easily, and also the fix centipede lag mod, which tries to remove the sudden lag by destroying centipedes that are currently stuck. Nothing much but decent to have. This is the Snatching Bracken mod, which is a server-side mod. This mod changes the killing behavior of the Bracken. With this mod installed, teammates that had been captured by the Bracken will not be instantly killed anymore. Instead, it will actually drag the player it caught all the way to its quote-unquote favorite Bracken room and then proceed with the killing. So while it is still certain death while you are playing solo, this actually gives ample amount of time for your teammates, if you have some, to try to save you instead. Additionally, you can also determine how this new Bracken behavior reacts in the config menu, and the amount of customization that you can do is pretty staggering. So if you play in a group constantly, I would suggest to grab this mod. Just make sure that everyone else has this mod as well, or it will simply not work. Now, next up, a one-of-a-kind mod that I've never seen before. This is the Physics Item mod. It provides physics to all of the Lethal Company items available in the game, from smaller ones to bigger ones as well. This also adds collision between the items and the player models, so you can actually push stuff with your own body. This can also create some very interesting scenario where things fall off edges by accident. Personally, a must-have mod to make the game's experience even better. Just make sure to install it with everyone in the server, or scraps can get desynced between clients. Now for number 3 on the list, a pretty popular and amazing mod that not many people know about. This is the Lethal Resonance mod, and it is one of a kind mod that does what other mods doesn't. It features 370 plus enhanced audio tweaks and custom sounds for a scarier and deeper experience in Lethal Company. Almost everything in the game now has a much more pleasing and scarier sound to it. Take a listen. Now what's impressive is that this mod is only 55 megabytes in size as of recording right now. Plus, you don't have to worry about any meme type audio in this sound pack. The goal is to be as focused on horror, immersion, and to be able to feel the audio quote unquote roll off of things. I can't really do justice from this one video alone, as you have to try this out for yourself. This is a client-sided mod, so it only works for you after installing it. Now for the next mod. Did you know that before Lethal Company even existed, Zeekers, the developer of the game, previously made a game called The Upturned? Well, this mod is called LC_Office and it adds a new office team interior plus the shrimp monster from the Upturned game itself. This new interior itself is very well made, from functioning elevators to a very spacious area of play, fire exits, monster spawners, and item spawns as well. And as mentioned, you get to meet the shrimp monster if you're lucky, or unlucky depending on how you see it. I won't spoil on what it will do to you. This is my opinion one of the best mods out there if you want a new map and new gameplay experience in just one download. Obviously, everyone on the server needs to install this mod for it to work. This is the laser control mod. It gives you more control over turrets and more with a simple laser pointer that can either be bought or found in-game. With this mod, you can now control where the turrets actually shoot. Do note that while in control mode, the battery life of the laser pointer will drastically decrease, much more faster than usual. This is to balance things out. Another thing that you can do with the laser pointer is that you can disable turrets as well just by pointing it at them. This also takes a huge chunk of battery life. You can also blow mines up by pointing it as well. If you don't like some of these features, you can always change it in the config menu, such as making the laser pointer buyable, can it turn on and off turrets, can it detonate landmines, and more. This is a client-sided mod, so it only works for those who installed this mod. Now next up, this is a mod that changes the whole game completely. This is the Don't Blink mod in Lethal Company, and it adds a blinking mechanic similar to the SCP Containment Breach game. After installing this mod, you can see that there's a new meter on your screen. This will decrease over time and you will automatically blink after the meter reaches 0 and then it resets back. You can always manually force yourself to blink or close your eyes by simply pressing C or holding down the C button. Now while this may not serve too much of a purpose, it actually does when it comes to the call hit, as they will attack you if you decided to blink or close your eyes. It also gives a little bit more immersive feel during your scrap run. There are also optional features that you can activate in the config menu, such as your blink meter rapidly decreases while you are inside a gas leak, naturally blink when seeing a call hit, or blink on fear when something happens, like finding a dead body or meeting a new monster. There are actually more info on how this mod works, such as a higher insanity causes you to blink faster, etc. So I would suggest reading more about it on the mod's website. These are just some key features that you need to know about. This is a client-sided mod, so it only works for you after installing it. Next up, a mod that many people wondered why I haven't even showcased yet. This is the Lethal Escape mod in Lethal Company, and it simply allows monsters that usually roams in the facility to be able to escape outside of it. Obviously, this can make some extremely dangerous situations where a crawler or a bracken is outside, so this mod probably isn't for everybody. But if you want a rush of adrenaline and to never really feel safe, this is probably what you're looking for. Do note that you can edit this mod in the config file as well, such as setting the percentage chance of certain monsters escaping from the facility, which monsters are not allowed to escape, and many more. This is a server-sided mod, so it is highly recommended to have everyone in your lobby to install it for it to work. Now if you're looking for another terrifying mod, this is the one for you. This is the Scopophobia mod, and it is one of, if not the most impressive Lethal Company monster mod. This mod adds the Shy Guy, aka SCP-096, to Lethal Company with fully custom animations and AI behavior. Its model is taken directly from the previously mentioned SCP Containment Breach game, and it is terrifying. Now for those who don't know what it does, it is an extremely shy individual, and when someone saw its face, it will enter a stage of emotional distress, to which it will cover its face with its hand and begin screaming, crying, and babbling non-stop. And after some time, the Shy Guy will begin running to the person who viewed its face, and, well, you'll discover on your own what happens next. During the chase, the shy guy will always know where you are, so there's no real escape from it. So the only way to avoid it is to simply not look at it in the first place. If you are killed by it, it will simply sit down and reset into shy mode once more. Now, as mentioned, it is highly customizable. You can tweak things such as its appearance and how it looks, how rare it spawns and its behavior, how long it takes to trigger it and how many targets it can have, how many can spawn in-game, whether it can spawn outside or not, and many more. Try this mod out if you are looking for a good monster mod. This mod requires everybody to install it for it to work. So are you tired of people ruining your lobby when you are the host? Well, you want to get the Lethal Admin mod for Lethal Company. This mod does a lot of lobby controlling feature. However, the main feature of this mod is that you can ban players from your lobby now. Usually when a player is kicked by default, they still can rejoin back into the lobby. Well, not anymore. This mod bans the Steam ID of other players, so they won't be able to join back after. Also, it can block out non-Steam players as well if you want to keep your lobby as security tight as possible. This is a host-only mod as it only works for the host itself. Now for the next mod, it's not really a mod but more of a way to combine some of the mods to turn Lethal Company into a zombie apocalypse game. So if you're interested in shooting zombies, click on the video on the screen right now, or click on the other ones as you may like that as well.